I never thought I'd stand in my father's mansion again, not after what happened between him and my mother. But when the phone rang that gray morning and a polite, detached voice said, "Miss Evelyn Moore, we regret to inform you that your father, Mr. Richard Moore, passed away last night," I felt a silence so deep it rang in my ears. Richard Moore, the man who built an empire on charm and ambition, the man who walked out on us 20 years ago for his young secretary and never looked back. Now, I stood at the gates of his grand estate, looking up at the house that used to be mine, before it all changed. The driveway was lined with the luxury cars, and at the door stood her, Vanessa, the mistress, now the widow. She was dressed impeccably, of course, black dress hugging her figure, diamond earrings glinting even in mourning. When her eyes met mine, she smiled, polite, venomous. "Evelyn," she said, voice sweet as honey, "I wasn't sure you'd come." "I didn't come for you," I said. Her lips twitched. "Of course not. But it's good you did. There will be arrangements to discuss." I followed her into the house. The scent of lilies filled the hall, funeral flowers, elegant and cold. Every photo on the wall had been replaced. Not a trace of my mother, not even one of me as a child. Just Vanessa smiling beside my father, as if she'd rewritten history. Guests murmured condolences. Everyone avoided my eyes. It was like walking through someone else's dream. I found my father's lawyer, Mr. Dempsey, near the study. He looked nervous when he saw me. "Evelyn, I didn't know if you'd... Well, I'm glad you're here. There's a reading scheduled for tomorrow." "The will?" I asked. He nodded. "Vanessa's arranged it. She's eager to move things along." I could see the unease in his expression. Something wasn't right. That night, I stayed in a hotel. I couldn't bear sleeping under that roof. I stared out at the city lights and wondered what I even wanted. Revenge? Closure? Or maybe just to hear that somewhere in those last moments, my father remembered me. The next day, the air was thick with tension. The lawyer sat at the head of the table, documents neatly stacked. Vanessa sat across from me, dabbing at her eyes with the silk handkerchief she didn't need. Her son with my father, sat beside her. Dylan, barely 20, spoiled, smug, and uninterested. "Let's begin," Mr. Dempsey said. His voice trembled slightly. He unfolded the will. "This is the last testament of Richard L. Moore, signed and notarized 2 months ago." My pulse quickened. 2 months ago. My father knew he was dying. Dempsey read through the formalities. Then came the part that changed everything. "To my beloved wife, Vanessa Moore, I leave the Moore estate and controlling interest in Moore Holdings Incorporated. To my son, Dylan Moore, I leave my personal art collection and trust account in his name. To my daughter, Evelyn Moore." He hesitated, looked up at me, then read, "I leave my sincerest apologies and the hope that she finds peace in her own path." The room spun. My heart dropped. Vanessa's lips curved a faint smile. "I'm sorry, Evelyn. He wanted you to be free, from all this." I stood up. "He wanted you to have everything. That's what he wanted, right?" Dempsey looked like he wanted to speak, but Vanessa's glare silenced him. I left the room shaking. The laughter, the whispers, everything blurred together. Outside, the autumn wind cut through me like glass. That night, I went to the old storage unit where I'd kept the last of my mother's belongings, a faded box labeled Moore Estate. Inside were letters, old receipts, photos, my mother's journals. In one journal, tucked between yellowed pages, I found something strange. A sealed envelope with my father's handwriting. The date, 6 weeks ago, after the date on the will that was read today. I tore it open. My dearest Evelyn, I know I failed you in ways words can't mend. Vanessa convinced me that you hated me, that you wanted nothing to do with me. I believed her, and that's my greatest shame. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and Vanessa has likely shown you her version of the truth. There is another will, Evelyn, one I made after learning the things she did. Dempsey knows. He'll find the courage to do what's right. Forgive me, if you can. Your father, Richard. My heart pounded. Another will, and Vanessa knew. The next morning, I went back to the estate. I didn't knock this time. Vanessa was in the living room, champagne glass in hand, already celebrating. Dylan lounged on the couch, scrolling through his phone. You have some nerve, she said when she saw me. This isn't your home anymore. I ignored her. Where's Dempsey? Her eyes flickered. Busy. He's handling the transfer of assets. Funny, I said, because I found something last night. She froze. What do you mean? I pulled the envelope from my purse and placed it on the table. A letter from my father, dated 6 weeks ago, after the date on the will that was read today. Her face went pale. You're bluffing. Am I? She lunged forward, snatched it up, and read it. Her hand shook. Then her expression hardened. That letter won't hold up in court. You have no proof there's another will. I smiled faintly. Maybe not, but I think Mr. Dempsey will. Right on cue, the front door opened. Dempsey walked in, eyes tired but resolute. I can't live with it anymore, he said quietly. She made me hide it, Evelyn. She threatened my job, my license, everything. But your father's last will? It's in my office safe. Vanessa's glass shattered on the floor. You can't! It's over, Vanessa, he said. The courtroom smelled of old wood and tension. Vanessa's lawyers tried everything, claimed forgery, confusion, even manipulation. But when Dempsey placed the sealed envelope before the judge and the handwriting analysis confirmed its authenticity, the truth finally saw daylight. Richard Moore had changed his will 1 week before his death. To my daughter, Evelyn Moore, I leave 60% of my company holdings, my personal residence, and my art collection. To my wife, Vanessa Moore, I leave a trust of $200,000 with the stipulation that she vacate the property within 30 days. The room fell silent. Vanessa's lawyer slumped back in defeat. She turned to me, eyes wild. You think this makes you better than me? I was there for him when you weren't. I met her gaze. You were there for his money, Vanessa. I was there when I was just his daughter. For the first time, she had nothing to say. The judge banged the gavel. Case closed. Weeks passed. The estate was quiet now, empty, except for the echoes of memories. I walked through my father's study, my study now, and found another letter in the drawer, one I hadn't seen before. Evelyn, if this reaches you, then truth has prevailed. But don't let anger become your inheritance. Vanessa was cruel, yes, but she was also afraid of losing everything. You both suffered from my mistakes. Build something better from the ruins. I sat there for a long time. The weight of all those years, resentment, grief, betrayal, slowly began to lift. I decided to meet with Vanessa one last time before she left town. She looked older, defeated, but not entirely cruel. When I handed her an envelope with the personal check, enough for her to start over, she stared at me in disbelief. Why? She asked. Because I don't want to become you, I said. Tears welled in her eyes. She nodded slowly, then left without another word. Months later, the Moore Foundation for Women and Children opened its doors. I named it after my mother, Clara Moore, who had always believed kindness was strength. At the opening ceremony, I spoke from the heart. My father's legacy wasn't the company or the wealth. It was the chance to do something meaningful. We can't rewrite our past, but we can choose how we end the story. Applause filled the room. And in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The mansion, once a symbol of betrayal, became a home again, a place of healing. As I walked through the garden that evening, the sun dipping low behind the trees, I could almost hear my father